What's going on, everyone? It is Hayspark here, and today what I am doing is a recorded YouTube video, which I never do. It's normally just VODs, hence why I keep looking over at my second monitor. But what I'm doing is I'm going to do a tier list based off of the first round of the NFL draft based on the letter grades A through F, based on position, team fit, value at the pick. And yeah, what I'm doing here, hopefully it's something new, it's exciting, so bear with me while I work through some challenges with this, but I hope you all enjoy the video. And if you want to see more content like this, then please let me know. I'll have some free time coming up hopefully in the next couple months. I would love to get more stuff like this done, but without further ado, I'm going to take you on to the tier list. So like I said, we're here at the tier list. Oh, I guess it's S, but we're going to delete this S. We're going to go A through F, positions, teams, where I think the value is given the pick number, and we're going to go from there. So it's not in order of number, which pisses me off, which is fine. But first I'm going to start with Fernando Mendoza. So we're going to do A as like this is the best pick for this team at this position with the player. B, it's not all the criteria are there. C, I think this is a pretty mid pick. It could either be a wrong fit for the player, could be a wrong fit for the team, saying they had more positional value that they could have gotten at this pick. D, I don't really like this pick, but it could be worse. F, this should not have been a pick at all at this stage. If you wanted to trade down, if you wanted to trade up and get someone different, or if I think a team settled completely, that's where F is going to be. Fernando Mendoza, this is going to be an A. And the reason I give it an A is because for the position, for the value, for the team he's going to, this fits all of their needs. They need a quarterback. They need someone who is proven, and that's what Fernando Mendoza is. So obviously, first overall pick, I'm not going to feel wrong about giving that an A because it makes sense. He's the number one consensus player in this draft class. The Jets had number 2, and this is David Bailey, and I'm going to give this a solid B. While I do think they should have went with Arvell Reese, I think Arvell Reese is a little more flexible, which I think the Jets could definitely utilize. David Bailey is still one of the best edge rushers in college football last season. This is a fantastic pick for them. Number 3 was, oh my gosh, I've already lost it. Who is number 3 this year? The Cardinals with Jeremiah Love. An unexpected pick, and might not have filled their needs on the offensive line, but Jeremiah Love is still a generational player. So I'm still going to give this an A. Jeremiah Love is a fantastic, fantastic player. He was one of the most dominant college players over the last 2 seasons, and the Arizona Cardinals arguably got the best talented player at their position at the third overall pick. There's some edge rushers that you could argue have a better skill set or better traits than David Bailey. There's other quarterbacks against Fernando Mendoza that like, okay, I like this better from this guy, or I like this better from this guy. Jeremiah Love does everything correct for the running backs. He has the speed, he has the vision, he has the tackle shedding ability, he has the vertical and horizontal ladder mobility. He is so dynamic. So I have to give this an A. It's not the pick I expected, but this is a fantastic pick for the Cardinals to build with their quarterback they plan on drafting next year. Next, number 4, Carnell Tate. I'm going to give this one I've been wrestling with this. I'm going to give it a B. Just because, while I think Carnell Tate is the number 1 receiver in this class, others don't think so. But I really feel like the Titans were like fully set on taking Jeremiah Love, so then they pivoted immediately to another offensive player. I think that Carnell Tate would have fit better on a team with a more established quarterback. He's kind of had that throughout his career. So I this might be a little bit of a rough patch in this transition, but I still think it's a good pick because the Titans wide receiver core outside of Wan'Dale Robinson is not good. So it's still a good pick for a developing quarterback and a developing system. Plus, with great minds like Brian Daboll and Robert Saleh, this team's going to be good. Well, better than what they were. So yeah, it's not mid, but it's not great. Like these picks up here. It's pretty good, but it's not mid. But it's not great. I think at that position, maybe going Maui Goa would have been smarter, but they got who they got, and they're happy with it. At 5, Arvell Reese, this is an A. They got the best overall defensive prospect at the 5th overall pick. That's a steal all day, every day. They need a linebacker. They got the better linebacker out of the 2 Ohio State guys, just based off proven ability. And even though he was only a 1-year starter, he still has the skill set, the measurables. He tested really well at the combine. Like, this guy is going to be great. At number 6 was the Chiefs trading up for Mansour Delane. I'm going to give this a C because they traded up to get him when no one else was going to. You could argue that the Commanders were, but if Sonny Styles is still on the board, I think they still go Sonny Styles at 7. I don't like how the Chiefs traded up for someone who was still going to be there. Granted, I think this is a fit that immediately fits the Chiefs, but I don't necessarily see it being like we have to jump 4 spots or go from 9 to 6. Yeah, that's 4 spots because 9, 8, 7, 6, 4 spots. You didn't need to do that. You jumped up 3 spots from your 4th spot away from 6. Yeah, you didn't need to do that. He was going to be there. I don't know of a team that was super high on Mansour Delane. Number 7 is Sonny Styles. I'm also going to give this an A. Sonny Styles was projected to go 5th. You got him at 7, and you got him after spending a lot of money on the defense in the secondary and at the front 4. So I think piecing together someone who is very versatile is a fantastic get for the Commanders. That leaves us to number 8, Jordan Tyson. I'm going to give this a B. I think that the Saints could have went a different position. I think they could have went tackle. Not that I think wide receiver is not a bad choice for them. I definitely think this is a good pick. It's just not up there with, like, Mendoza going at 1 is a perfect fit for the Raiders. This is a generational player going to the Cardinals. These are great value gets at the numbers they were supposed to be drafted at. Like Jordan Tyson, like, he could have gone later or he could have gone earlier. And while I like the fit, personally, seeing what the Saints have done this offseason, I would have, maybe went a different position, mainly on the defense. But it's still a good pick. Number 9 is Spencer Fano. I'm giving this an A. I love this pick for the Browns, and I hate to say that as a Bengals fan. You get the best swing tackle on a team that had terrible value addressing tackle injuries last year. They did not have any way to address tackle injuries. Their offensive line was decimated. So you get the best swing tackle, the best proven swing tackle at this position at the 9th overall pick. You could argue that it's a B because Maui Goa was still on the board. And I'll hear that argument, but I'm not going to listen because the fit for this guy is perfect. Maui Goa, I'm also going to give an A. I've given out a lot of A's, but these teams drafted very, very well. I'm very impressed with how the Giants handled this. They got a very, very good offensive lineman who can be moved all along the line. You already have 2 really good tackles in New York, and being able to either have the backup be for, Maui Goa, or you put him at a guard position because he's so versatile, I think that's just great for a quarterback and a running back both coming back from injury. I think this is huge for the Giants. Number 11, Caleb Downs. I'm going to say B. They did trade up 1 spot to get him, and they only gave up 2 sixths. But, I definitely thought, with Ruben Bain still available, could have went Ruben Bain. You spent a lot of money on safety in free agency. Not that this isn't a great pick for the fit. It is. It's just hard for me to be like, yeah, they also traded up and they also spent a ton of money in free agency at the safety position. And they made a ton of trades for the defense. And, there's a ton of stuff that I think Caleb Downs could be A, could be B. I'm going to put him at like B, but he's like a high B. This is like a B+. Let's see. Number 12. I hate how it's not in order. Number 12 is Caden Proctor. I'm going to give this one a C also. I'm not the highest on Caden Proctor like other people are. He's definitely skilled. And that's what I mentioned. Like he's skilled, but the Dolphins needed skill position. Like they just traded away Jalen Waddle. If you wanted to go tackle, You could have waited. Um, or if you wanted to go lineman, I think they should have went Ione. I'm just not super high on this pick. Not that it's bad. It's just that I think that there are other linemen. Like if they went Monroe Freeling, I could see that being a B. You know, Monroe Freeling has a lot of size and a lot of stuff that he does really well, but just has to maintain some of it and like fix it to be a true left tackle. For Caden Proctor, I like his skill set. There's just a couple things that I saw in him during SEC play that have me just a tiny bit worried going to the NFL, especially when you're in a division with the Patriots, with the Jets, with the Bills that play, hard football, especially in the cold. Sometimes sometimes there's something that doesn't translate there. And, it will probably be fine. But it's just my initial gut reaction. This is a C. They did get some draft comp. Like I said, it was 2/6 from Dallas and them switching spots. I just didn't think they would go Caden Proctor with that pick. With Mekhi Lemon still on the board, I definitely would have liked to see Mekhi Lemon at 12. I think that would have been an A. You got draft comp and you got a wide receiver, but it's just me. Next is Ty Simpson, and if you saw my stream, I laughed horrifically at this pick. I was almost on the floor laughing, giving it a D. I thought the highest this pick would go was pick 33. They didn't even meet with the guy. And, we need a backup for Matt Stafford, yada, yada, yada. Dude, why not get a tackle? Why not get Mekhi Lemon? You just lost Tutu Atwell in free agency. And yes, Tutu Atwell wasn't a major part of this offense, but he is because he brings a skill set. And if you're going to be needing more of Puka on the outside, then you need a guy to play the slot. And Mekhi Lemon at that fit would have been perfect. But I digress. I do not like this pick. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope Ty Simpson proves me wrong. But there were 2 months where he looked like the best quarterback in the country. Outside of those 2 months, man, he looked like dog shit. Anyway, 14, Ione. This is an A. This is the best guard midway through the draft. And he's going to a team where he's going to be heavily utilized. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson have a lot of rushing throughout the season. I definitely think that this is a great pick. And I've been mocking this for months before this. This is a great pick for the Ravens. 15, Rueben Bain. I'm going to give this a B. And the only reason I give this a B, while this is one of the best value picks of the entire first round, there's one thing that worries me about him, and yes, it is the arm size. I know I was talking it down a little bit in the drafts, but I really get to think about it. I'm like, if he can work through that, then this is an A. He did fall, and I think this is a great fit because the Buccaneers do like their in-state guys, and they do like to keep, they like the big names. That's what they like to do. Like last year, they drafted Ibuka. If the Bucs are terrible this year, look out. They're going to go for Jeremiah Smith because he's from Florida. Like, they like to have the big names and the big play guys. And Rueben Bain is a big play guy. The arm size just worries me a tiny bit. So that's why I'm giving it... You know what? No, I'm going to give this an A. I'm actually going to change my mind. This is incredible value for this pick. Anyway. Next would be 16. That's Kenyon Sadiq. I'm going to give this a B. I like this pick. I think it's a good fit. A little higher than I have Sadiq on my personal board. So that's why I'm knocking it down just a tad. But I think, yeah, getting Geno Smith, a reliable tight end to build for the future with. I think your other tight ends haven't worked out great. Yeah, why not? This is good. So that brings us to 17, and this is Blake Miller. I'm going to give this a C. I definitely would have liked the Lions to go Monroe Freeling here. I think Blake Miller's great. He's just a little bit older. And he's got a couple more technical things to work on than I would like, especially trying to go back to a team where they're trying to get back to where they were, which was a Super Bowl contender. So if you want a first round guy to make like an immediate impact on a team to have that bounce back, Blake Miller's not that guy in my mind. I could be underplaying his role at Clemson. I'm just not as high on him as maybe a Monroe Freeling or a a Caleb Lomu. That's just my opinion. This is Banks. D. He should not have been in the first round of this draft, especially not over Caden McDonald. I get it. He has like decent tape from before his injury, but even then, I think DTs like Caden McDonald or even Lee Hunter had better flashes than what Caleb Banks, like his ceiling could be. So I'm not a big fan of this pick. If the Vikings wanted to go DT, trade it down, get Caden McDonald. But I guess they see something in Caleb Banks that they really like. That's why I'm not an NFL GM. Monroe Freeling, fantastic. I think the only way this is an A is if they get a pass catcher like Makai Lemon. With Makai Lemon being on the board, I would have liked to see them go wide receiver. Yes, it would have been for the third year in a row, their first pick being a wide receiver. But Makai Lemon is great talent. Monroe Freeling, I think, is the tackle that best fits the Panthers, though. They get a left tackle. He's got a couple things to work on in the technical stance, but it is great. It's great stuff. I think he makes the Panthers better overall. Makai Lemon, this is an A. You pull off a draft trade up with an in-division rival to get Makai Lemon, someone who is going to come in and immediately replace A.J. Brown, while you also added Hollywood and you still have Devonta Smith. Like, that's a huge get for your offense. That was one of the best fit picks of the night. Number 21 was I never can pronounce his name. I'm gonna mess it up. So Max Ihanachor. I think this is. I'd also give this a B. He hasn't been playing football very long, but he's very skilled. He's very raw. And I think Pittsburgh knows how to develop those like really raw guys, and they do it well and they do it consistently. Bringing in Mike McCarthy, who has a decent amount of like offensive skill sets in his coaching, reservoir, I definitely think that this can develop into an A pick. But for right now, my initial reaction, like that's a good pick. That's a solid pick for the Steelers. 22 is Akeem Mesidor, and I'm going to give this a C just based on his age. He's a 25-year-old rookie. And you can argue that, like, okay, like he's still like super good. Yeah, he's good. I saw him in the playoffs. He was great. He's also 25, working against much younger talent, and that development with his age, like his physical attributes are still developing. It's not like the NFL where like older guys in the NFL, their physical development starts to go on the downslope. When you're that old in college, you're like, there's a point where you're physically outmatching everyone. I'm not high on him as a prospect, but I digress. 23, Lawrence, I think that's his name. Malachi Lawrence. I'm gonna give this a C, just because I think it's a little higher than he could have went. But the thing is, like, Lawrence tested really well. A lot of people were super high on him. I definitely could see him going this high. I just didn't expect it. So because I could see it, I could see a B. It just feels like, it's a little, to me personally, it's a little high, but it's a good fit. Like, they addressed the defense in Dallas. They got their edge rusher, fantastic. 24 is Casey Concepcion. I'm going to give this a C. I don't like this fit for Cleveland because I think they have a lot of shorter, speedy receivers. I thought like Denzel Boston was going to go to Cleveland here, and he ended up going to Cleveland at a second-round pick, which is insane value for Denzel Boston. So just because of who he's going to be competing with, which is a lot of other short, fast, twitchy wide receivers, I don't like the fit, but it's still a decent pick. Casey is a little lower on my board. He's one of the other guys who I look at him and I'm like, eh. But again, that's just me. Um, that brings us to 25, which is Dylan Thieneman to the Bears. S. Like, if there was an S category like this is the perfect fit for Dylan Thieneman. Um, he went a lot, he went a lot later than I thought he would. I thought he was going to go to the Vikings at 18. I thought he could have been earlier. I think the Dolphins and Cowboys could have went back to back on safeties. Like, he went high, or like I was high on Dylan Thieneman. So good for him. But I think, like, next to Makai Lemon and Ione and Spencer Fano, like, that's like some of the best picks of the night. 26 is Rutledge to Houston. I'm going to give this a C as well, just because, well, they did need guard. Rutledge, for his value, like his positional value, is good. But the overall board value in terms of like what talent is there, it was kind of a reach. So it's a good pick, but this, like, they could have done more with this pick in either trading back and still getting Rutledge, but they got their guy. I can't knock them for that. 27 is, what is his name from SDSU? So Chris Johnson at 27. I'm going to give this a B for the Dolphins. I really like Chris Johnson. I think he's fantastic. Given what the Dolphins need, I feel like they could have, went receiver. They could have went safety after trading Minka. Like, there's so many other holes that they could have filled. If you really wanted to go secondary, could have traded up to 25 or 24. I know that's a big jump, but I think for the pick, it's still good. Like I said, I like Chris Johnson. I think he's going to do well. So it's still a good pick. I just think, given the other holes the Dolphins have, and there are a ton of them. Like, in the first round, they did not address the pass rusher, which is insane to me, seeing as how you just lost Bradley Chubb. But whatever. But I'll give it a B. Caleb Lomu, I'm going to. I always feel iffy on this pick. I'll give it a B. It's a good pick. The offensive line is what got them decimated. The offensive linemen who were left at this point, I think, like, Lomu is the best one. The Patriots needed an offensive lineman. Like, that's what lost them the Super Bowl, was their offensive line. Like, it's a good pick. It's just like, hindsight's 2020. Would he have been there at 32? Would he have been there in the second round? Probably not. But what else could you have gotten? Because I like Lomu. I just think he's the like the Inachor, Ione, Monroe Freeling. Like, I think there's just a little bit more of a skill gap here. And this is just from what I've seen. I don't do like the whole like watch all the replays and check every analytic ever. Like, it's just from what I see and what I read. Peter Woods, I'm going to give this a C. The Jets then trade back up with the Niners from 33 to 30 to get Omar Cooper Jr. I'm also going to give this a C, because while the Niners could have probably sniped him because they went receiver second round anyway, the Jets still had to trade up to get him. I thought they could. No, I'm actually going to give this a B. I'm going to give this a B because I had the Jets mocking him at 16 because of their need at receiver. So they did go up and get him. They didn't have to trade much. So I'll give it a B. I think it's also a good fit, pairing him with Garrett Wilson, now Kenyon Sadiq, filling out the receiving core. Then the Titans trade back in. And they get Kendrick Folk, and I'm giving this an A. You got Kendrick Folk for not that much. And in my opinion, he has a very good pass rushing skill set. I think the way he is able to move his body is very good. He's not stiff. He's super limber. I like his arm length. He's got a very good nose for sniffing out option plays. I think it's I think putting him next to guys like Simmons and Franklin Myers on that Tennessee front line is going to be really good for him, because with those two heavy defensive tackles eating up a lot of space, you're you're going to see him get sack production in the NFL. I very much like this pick. The last is Price, and he went to Seattle at 32. He is the second overall running back on the board via ESPN. And I'm going to give this a B. And the only reason I'm giving it a B is because I think that they could have traded back and gotten more value for the pick, instead of just saying, we need a running back, we lost K9, let's just get the best guy available. I think they could have traded back to get him. So, like I said, thank you again for testing this out with me. This is a whole new type of video that I never do. Hopefully that I'll be able to do more of these if you guys enjoy this content. If not, I'll stick to streaming and just uploading VODs. It felt a little different without having an actual chat next to me. So that's going to be something, I'm going to have to go through, and the learning process and all that. So I appreciate everyone for whoever watched this video and stuck around to the end, and I will catch you in the next one.